She moved into apartment 14A and disappeared without a trace. True horror story. Hit subscribe button for more spine-tingling stories. Like and share with your friends who love a good scare. Leave a comment below with your favorite scary story theme. The apartment was perfect, almost too perfect. Claire Donovan, a 25-year-old airline pilot, had recently moved to the city of Portland for a fresh start. Apartment 14A of the Harrington Towers was spacious, affordable, and close to work. The realtor's smile had seemed too eager as she handed over the keys, but Claire chalked it up to good customer service. The first few nights were blissfully quiet. Claire enjoyed the solitude after long, demanding flights. Yet from her first evening there, a curious detail gnawed at her, a faint humming noise that seemed to come from the vents. She tried dismissing it as the old building settling, but the sound was persistent, an almost human murmur weaving in and out of the quiet. On the third night, as Claire unpacked her final box, she noticed something peculiar, a small, delicate photo frame tucked between her belongings. She didn't recognize it, yet there it was, a black and white picture of a young couple standing in front of an ornate door. The man in the photo was grinning widely, but the woman's face looked blurry, almost as if the photo had been smudged. The ornate door behind them had the number 14A engraved in brass. Confused, Claire set the photo aside, assuming it must have been left by the previous tenant. But when she returned from the kitchen with a glass of wine, the frame was gone. A faint draft brushed past her neck, though the windows were shut. "Get a grip," she muttered, dismissing it as a misplaced item. But as she walked back into the living room, she froze. The humming from the vents was louder now, almost melodic, like a woman humming a lullaby. By the weekend, the once charming apartment had begun to feel oppressive. The humming persisted, no longer confined to the vents. It followed her into the bedroom, the bathroom, even the tiny laundry closet. Claire began recording the sound on her phone, hoping to analyze it later, but the playback was always silent. During a restless night, Claire woke to a sound she couldn't ignore, a soft tapping, like nails rapping against glass. Her breath caught as she turned toward the bedroom window. At first, she saw nothing. Then, faintly, she discerned a shape, a shadow, hunched and distorted, watching her from the other side of the glass on the 12th floor. Claire bolted upright, heart pounding. She approached the window cautiously, but when she drew back the curtain, there was nothing there, just the empty balcony, bathed in moonlight. She laughed nervously, trying to shake off the fear. Maybe she'd been dreaming. But when she turned back to her bed, her laughter died. The black and white photo frame was sitting on her pillow. Determined to get to the bottom of the eerie occurrences, Claire visited the building manager, Mr. Adams, a surly man who seemed perpetually annoyed by tenant complaints. His reaction to her questions was anything but reassuring. "Apartment 14A," he asked, shifting uncomfortably. "That's odd. It's been empty for years before you moved in." "The last tenant, a woman about your age, moved out after." "Well, she didn't move out, she vanished." Claire's stomach turned. "Vanished? What do you mean?" Adams hesitated before muttering, "Just rumors. Some folks say she was being stalked by her boyfriend. Police came around, but they never found her. The building, old and worn, had seen its fair share of tragedies." As Claire walked back to her apartment, she couldn't shake the feeling that Adams knew more than he let on. She also noticed something strange, an ornate brass number on her door, worn and tarnished, but still legible, 14A. It was identical to the one in the photo. That night, the humming was joined by faint whispers. Claire tried to ignore them, stuffing her ears with headphones and blasting music. But the whispers grew louder, forming disjointed words. "Leave. Not safe. He's here." The sound seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Claire ripped the headphones off and screamed. "Who's here?" The room fell silent, and for a moment all she could hear was the pounding of her own heart. Then, from the corner of her eye, she saw it, the shadow from the window now inside her apartment. It moved with an unnatural fluidity, growing taller and darker as it approached. Claire stumbled backward, her hand grasping for anything to defend herself. Her fingers closed around the photo frame. She hurled it at the shadow, and the glass shattered, splinters scattering across the floor. The shadow recoiled, letting out a guttural wail before vanishing. But the shards of glass had revealed something hidden beneath the photos backing a handwritten note. The ink was smeared, but Claire could make out the words he watches from the vents. Don't trust the mirror. Desperate for answers, Claire dug into the building's history. At the city archives, she discovered a chilling detail. The original owner of the Harrington Towers, a man named Victor Hargrove, had been accused of murdering his wife in 1952. The case was dropped due to lack of evidence, but tenants over the decades had reported seeing a shadowy figure in their apartments. Most disturbingly, nearly all these reports came from those who lived in 14A. Returning to her apartment, Claire avoided the mirrors as the note had warned. She decided to sleep on the couch in the living room. But as she lay there, staring at the ceiling, she noticed something horrifying. The vent above her was slowly unscrewing itself. Before she could move, a long, bony hand reached out from the vent, pulling the cover away. A face followed, gaunt, pale, and twisted into a grin that was too wide for human features. Claire screamed, bolting for the door, but it slammed shut before she could reach it. The shadowy figure emerged fully from the vent, its limbs elongating unnaturally as it crawled toward her. The next morning, the building manager found Claire's apartment empty. The furniture was undisturbed, her belongings still in place, but there was no trace of Claire herself. The only thing out of the ordinary was the brass number on her door, which had been polished to a mirror-like shine. Rumors spread quickly among the remaining tenants. Some claimed to hear her screams late at night. Others swore they saw her silhouette in the windows of 14A. The apartment was sealed off, but the faint humming persisted, a chilling lullaby for anyone who dared to listen. In the end, the Harrington Towers earned a new name among locals, the Shadow's Lair. And apartment 14 remained unoccupied, its secrets locked away with the lives it had claimed. If this story gave you chills, hit that subscribe button and watch our next tale of real-life horror inspired by true events. Could you survive the shadow in apartment 14A? Let us know in the comments below.